Before you do that, Vicky, do you want your own recording? You can ask her to give you permission to record yourself, and then you'll have it isolated.
Actually, I'm glad I heard that you can do that, but no, I don't need this. This is, nah. But thank you, because now that I know you can do that, yeah, I will later.
That's helpful when you have when the whole story swap is recorded.
Yes.
Helpful for you to record yourself when it's for you. They
Yes,
can both be recorded. The manager of the story swap and you.
okay, good to know, thank you.
I just learned that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Genevieve. Okay, mixed bag, February 21, 2022. Vicki Ness.
Wilmer was the big boss. He was round as a cue ball, and he had his hair carefully combed over and over, and he had little tiny beady eyes that sparkled like little tiny lanterns lit at the bottom of a coal pit. And he had a mouth that was always active and was better at holding the stump of a stogie than at actually finishing up a full sentence. And he would walk through the production line on occasion. He would stare up at the air. And he would say things under his breath that nobody understood. And then he would clank up the metal stairs to his office, which overlooked with 2 windows down onto the production plant. And he'd slam the door, and a little brass thing would just clatter, clatter, clatter. It was a plaque on his door, and it said, "I don't get headaches, I give them." He loved that plaque, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And every week, his underlings, his managers, his administrative assistants would have to come up one by one and sit in front of his broad, beat up wood desk and give their numbers and give their progress and their delivery dates. And they would do it all by rote, one after the other every week. And he would occasionally glare at them and go, and they would leave. Well, one day they noticed that on the desk were sparkling, tiny, hollow spun sugar bricks. And they were just scattered, scattered, scattered. And while everybody noticed them, they were afraid to say something in case it was their job to have done something about this, and they didn't. So they just pretended like there was nothing there. But the bricks kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. Until finally, when they came in, there was a wall built of these beautiful sparkling sugar bricks. And every single week it got higher and higher until they could hardly see the boss. But they could hear him tick, 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 tick on his computer. And every so often they'd hear, Well, the wall kept going up and going up until it became a fortress. And it was beautiful. There were turrets that rose up with capped roofs and spun sugar dragon weather vanes that spun in the intermittent air conditioning. Whee, whee. And there was a drawbridge that was soldered shut with icing. And a little tiny window, just one, that was right in front of the desk lamp. And it emitted the most beautiful buttery yellow light. But they couldn't see the boss. Maybe once in a while, he would rise up like a pale sun in an Arctic landscape, and he'd look, and he'd sink back down. Well, eventually a funny thing happened. They noticed that it was quiet. And they'd give their numbers and they'd give their reports. And there was nothing. There was no ticky, ticky, ticky. There was no grumbling. There was no scrape of a chair. There was nothing. But they were doing what they were supposed to do. So they gave their numbers. Every so often, one or two of the more creative ones would just go ahead and answer for him. Hey, John, that's a really good job. Oh, thank you, sir. Nothing. Silence. So they close up their folders and they gather their pens and their papers and their phones with their fancy pie charts that they worked so hard on. 57% increase. And they'd head out the door. And no matter how quietly they closed the door, they'd hear tick, 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 as the little brass plate hit the side. All of a sudden, weeks went by when a postcard showed up, a postcard, beautiful postcard. And on the outside, it had a golden beach and 2 chairs and an umbrella and a cobalt sea and a sun rising. And it was just beautiful. And they looked on the other side and it said, finally, I understand how to be the richest man in the world. Love, Wilmer. That's weird. That's just weird. So they stuck it up on the bulletin board in the lunchroom and proceeded to go on about their lives. Except the HR lady saw it. And she thought to herself, something is crooked here. Where's he getting all this money from? What's going on? So she took the card and she ran up to the CFO, who took it to the COO, who took it to the CEO. And all 4 of them stormed the castle and they ran up the steps and they flung open the door and the little plaque went pick, 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 pick. And they went behind the beautiful facade and found a dusty desk. And there was a coffee cup with white and green mold growing up. And there was a half-eaten sandwich, the edges of which were folded up like the eaves of a pagoda from dryness. And a little tiny spider making a little tiny web and dust. So they went into the computer. They got into his whole desktop and there were his files. And they looked in his files and his files were in perfect order. So then they went into his email. That's when they saw it. There were emails after emails after emails by an H. Knight. Back and forth, Wilmer and this H. Knight person. I thought, So they dove into it and they opened up the emails and they looked at all of it and they read all of it and they discovered that it wasn't embezzlement and it wasn't extortion that got him all his wealth that he seemed to be bragging about. It wasn't even some flimsy Ponzi scheme. What it really was hundreds and hundreds of love letters from someone named Helen. And they looked at the abandoned desk and then they looked at the postcard one more time and they realized it didn't say, finally, I know how to be the richest man in the world. Love, Wilmer. What it actually said was, finally, I know how to be the richest man in the world. Love, Wilmer.
Thank you, Vicki. My. What have I done to hear again a story from you that is not one helping me unspotlight you.
I know I'm going to do, I'm looking to do gallery. There we go. Hi, everybody. You can just go up to gallery and. No,
Thank you. Well, let me not be first. If others want to chime in with your story before I do, that is fine. Renu, may I call on you?
Yes, Vicky, as usual, you blew me away with your story. I mean, I don't have any more words to say to you. Every single story is a gem. So what more can I say? It's like, that ending was absolutely beautiful. What an ending, my God. I adored it. I
Thank
think every single story of yours is, I'm a huge fan, Vicky, and you know that.
thank you. I came up with some love stories for February, and that was one of them.
Okay, beautiful.
John?
Vicky, I think I can say I've seen this on many stories that you've given and I or told, and I really like how what you do with your hands and your facial expressions and even like I don't know, maybe you did one where he's running or something and you did all that, and I maybe it's very natural to do those things, or were you kind of trained that way, or was there a way that you kind of learned that from others?
No, I'm from New Jersey, and people use their hands a lot, and they do their face a lot, and it's kind of a cultural thing I grew up with, is a lot of facial stuff.
Well, for me anyway, it adds a lot to the whole
Thank you.
feeling of the story, and I whatever your story is going to about, and I liked how you started off with those expressions about the is it Wilmer or
Elmer.
Wilmer? Yeah. And so it was great. Thank you for telling it tonight.
Thank you, John. Genevieve, do you want to talk about Vicky's story?
I can't step. I have to step away for a moment.
Oh, shall I go next?
Yeah.
Vicky, this was the first time I loved it. I loved all of it. And I was surprised at myself by the time I was at the end with you, because I missed the inflection of how the signage or the penultimate word, which was love, changed. And I said, what? Vicky's not failing me, so I'm blaming my ears. Would you do the last sentence again, or the last two sentences?
Well, that they read it and it didn't say, finally, I know how to be the richest man on earth. Love, Wilmer, in a sarcastic manner, as opposed to, finally, I know what it means to be the richest man on earth. Love, Wilmer.
Oh, Vicky, thank you. That's how you did it. Now I realize my obstacle. It was self-placed. I'm thinking who Anthony Hopkins on the beach in the movie where he eats people. And I have so gotten ahead of myself that I'm unable to see that it is not a horrid person. It is a changed person who now finds, accepts, and harbors love.
Love. Yeah.
I have nothing but praise for you, as always. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Genevieve?
I was just wondering, is this the one that you just told? Were you telling a theme on, was it love?
Yeah, and I told it the first time on the Tuesday.
Yeah. I remember that, because I'm an interpreter, and so I just love anything that has to do with meaning changing just based on the inflection. I love it. So I remember how I enjoyed it then too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that sentence, that last one. How beautifully it changed from this to this.
And
Just
how
by
he,
changing Yeah, just
Yeah.
changing the tone of the
Um,
voice, how it changes.
I
And how
wonder-
people read it
or heard it.
or heard it.
So, Vicky, you can speak up, but I would like the others to answer this question. Was the building of the sugar buildup, the wall, were you as slow as yours truly was in seeing its significance, even if you didn't see the significance until the end? I didn't see the significance until Genevieve's remark just now of the wall and its growth. It did. You can just nod your head, but did you all see that significance in the tail or by the end of it?
Sorry, Linda, I couldn't really hear you properly. Sometimes your voice goes low, sometimes it's
Oh.
high. So some of it I can catch, some of it I have to really strain myself to hear. Can you
Let
please
me use
repeat
fewer
yourself?
words. I missed the
Yeah.
significance of the colorful sugar-filled wall and its height incremental gains.
Okay. No, for me, I felt that it was just him increasingly getting into that state of bliss. I mean, I feel sugar obviously means something that you love, right? Everybody loves sugar. So I felt that it was just going deeper and deeper into that sugar-filled bliss. That's what I understood. I hope that was what Vicky was trying to convey. So I felt that just that was a build-up, that something is changing, something is transforming. He's no longer that same person. That's what I understood.
Great use of words, Renu, Vicky, that Renu just had. Build up.
Yeah.
I mean, literal sugar buildup, as your story tells it.
And that you stop seeing him as you're used to seeing him. He's disappearing. The one you thought you saw, the one who occasionally,
But literally, he is sweetening.
mhm.
Because it's so metaphorical, the way you brought that story. Like everybody, I think nobody in this world is there which is completely bad. Everybody wants a chance to change. And I think that love did that to him. He was actually, when he's peeping off, he's actually trying to go back to being the old self. But no, it's pulling him back because that love is stronger than his love for making other people's lives miserable. I think that was the beauty that I really enjoyed, that you brought out so beautifully, because I think everybody needs a chance, that one person who transforms them. Inside all of us, there is that one person, that little bit, which hope is there, that I'm not really that bad a person. All I need is that one person who believes in me, and then the transformation happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a human to human connection, I guess.
Almost against their will.
Yeah.
Like
Very
your
well.
story.
Yes.
Your
Because
what
there's
story?
initial resistance, and then it's slowly the resistance is going, and then the transformation happens.
Wow. Well, it's after 8:30, and we've all gone unless there's been some change in
Genevieve.
Oh, Genevieve! My gosh, I don't mind that it's after 8:30.
I don't either. Go for it, girl.
Okay, thank you. I would like to, but this is one of the roughest yet that I've started, because there's a chunk in it that I haven't at all developed, and it's the part, you'll see it. It's the part where we're performing a dance. Okay, so I'm just doing this to test it out. Can we go ahead and record it just so that I can?
We're recording. We're good.
Please ask the host.
Oh, for you too?
Yes. Oh
Very
yeah.
good. No, here we go. Hold on.
Yeah, you don't have to record me, but I want to record me.
Do you want me to stop the SAC recording?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's going to be super rough. Now let me see, how can I record? Okay, now